Every once in a while, I just browse the Steam store and pick a random highly reviewed indie game and go in blind, knowing nothing about the game except the name. Katana Zero was the lucky winner of this raffle I made. At first, it seemed like a typical 2D platformer, which is exactly the type of game I like. But after playing the first level, I was hooked, turning my expected 1-hour session into a 5-hour session, seeing the game to completion. Hello, and welcome to my channel. I'm Gray, and this is my review of Katana Zero. Starting with the graphics, Katana Zero has this overused pixelated art style, in which nearly every indie game uses these days. However, I did notice that the quality of the animation is a step above the usual indie, giving each character detailed animation that express their action perfectly. I liked how the protagonist blows on his herbal tea, or just the standing animation bopping his head. It feels like extra care has been taken in regards to the animation. Texts were also given various effects that remind me of old school RuneScape in a way, where it'll highlight red or wobble around with a gradient color to highlight important information. Combat animation is also great. I especially loved the way blood spatters across the room, sticking to walls. There was even an instance where a man literally swept across the wall, painting it with his blood. Especially when you trigger slow motion and everything turns black except for the important details. Levels also have a great degree of variety, always changing things up from an abandoned apartment, a movie studio, or even a disco. Each environment is accompanied by a new style that keeps the game engaging graphically. Even the pause menu has the CRT feel to it, which reminds me of a CRT's Channel 1 with no signal. It does get a bit busy on screen sometimes, but the overall graphics of the game, while not groundbreaking, does the job well. Heading on to sound, the game doesn't include any voice acting, so this section is mostly soundtrack and sound effects. First, the soundtrack. The soundtrack was genuinely great. I was shocked on how much I liked the soundtrack. It's mainly synthwave and techno beats with a little bit of hard bass mixed in, but the quality and general atmosphere it provided was top notch. Each level has its own theme, as the protagonist usually plugs in his headphones as soon as the level starts, which is a nice touch. A quick search reveals that the soundtrack is 2 hours long for a 5-hour game. That's impressive. Sound effects were also well made, as each swing of the sword or bullet blast sounded good, not too quiet or too loud. It just occupied the right area in the audible spectrum and had the right intensity and volume. Overall, the sound quality of the game is top notch. I already bought the digital soundtrack on Bandcamp, and I'm looking forward for more songs from these artists. Gameplay is where this game shines. It excellently mixes in narrative and gameplay. It almost seems too natural to an extent. First, the combat. If you played Hotline Miami, imagine a 2D side-scroller version of that. The combat is fast and precise. It consists of two things, attack and throw, where throw can be used to throw objects like knives or busts found in the game. You progress through a level which consists of several screens. Each screen contains a certain number of enemies. Your goal is to eliminate them or sneak past them depending on the mission condition. There's a lot I like about the combat. First is how precise it is. It never felt floaty or slow to eliminate enemies. Second is that you die in a single hit, which means if you get shot, you restart the screen. Not the level, just the screen. This brings experimentation and variety to the mix. And finally is the slow motion button. You can basically enter a slow motion mode that is recharged passively with time, that helps you dodge, parry, or repel bullets. While this mode had a significant role in the story, I rarely used slow motion as I liked the twitchy, reaction-based combat it provided. However, it's there if you want it, and it's implemented well. Between these intense levels is a compelling story about an assassin trying to uncover his mysterious past. The thing that sold this game to me is its unique dialogue system. Each conversation is accompanied by a timer, having you wait for the NPC to finish his line or cut him off in the middle of a sentence. This can be used to emphasize urgency or when you're irritated by the NPC. Let's say a villain is giving his usual speech. You can cut him off mid-sentence to basically piss him off. The story has a unique narrative involving drugs, assassinations, conspiracy, and an elusive past. Overall, the narrative was spectacular. I was honestly shocked at the level of detail the dialogue system brings to a beautifully crafted narrative. The only thing that I didn't like here is that it's incomplete, as the game ends with a coming soon. However, the developer did state that the DLC is going to be free and longer than the game, which took me around 4.6 hours according to Steam. Overall, Katana Zero offered a great dialogue system, interesting narrative, and fast-paced gameplay with intense techno beats. The game gripped me throughout the 4 hours and had me wanting more when the credits rolled. I highly recommend giving this a try, as it's a genuinely great game that deserves more attention. Katana Zero is a solid 9 out of 10 for me. For the price, I got a lot of enjoyment, especially after playing Persona 5 Royal and Final Fantasy VII Remake. The bar was set high and Katana Zero managed to impress me to the level of these AAA games. Thank you for watching, and if you made it this far, please subscribe, like, leaving a comment down below. You know what to do, and I really appreciate you making it this far. Thank you and goodbye.